Welcome to another edition of the Northern Touch Show. I'm your host, Tom, aka Director Awesome, joined once again by our co-host, Thrust OG. Today, we are joined by the VP of Basketball Operations, the Deputy Commissioner of the National Basketball League of Canada, Audley, the Audman Stephenson. Welcome to the show.
It is a pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thank you for making some space for me, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's always room for you over here. You know, your family, man. This is why we set up the show. So we don't have to ask people anymore, hey, I want to do this thing, make a phone call. That's why I don't know. I mean, that's what you were talking about. It really was. And the other half is that I don't want to have to answer any weird questions anymore.
Well, we set up this show. We set up this show. Everyone thought we were going to be doing all music guests, and that's all we were going to be doing. And we just decided, you know what? Let's go with everybody. We're going to get actors. We're going to get engineers and producers and everybody on here. So I
love it. Break the mold and just go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I podcast myself, and it's a self-improvement motivational podcast. And when I came out, everyone thought it'd be all about basketball, and we've had a few basketball dialogues, but I mean, I've had Beanie Man come on, I've had actors come on, I've had motivational speakers, authors, all kinds of different people. So, and for me, the motivation was like, how do you break that mold and different? So when you say that, Tom, I love it because I'm with you all the way.
Yeah, and it's always interesting.
Exactly.
It's always interesting having guests on the show. I mean, we've done a few. I have another podcast as well, Pod Jerky, and we've had a few episodes where it's just, kind of a couple of us just talking about whatever's going on, kind of interesting topics. But then when I have the guests on, that's really when I get into it, because you get to relate with what the topic is about, what they're about, and it's so much fun.
Totally. And that to me. So my original roots started in podcasting. Everything that I've done started in the very first podcast I had was 2007. Right now podcasts are like a business card. Exactly. Everyone has them, right? But back then there was this new thing going on, and we were doing a podcast about NBA basketball at a time when the Raptors weren't good. So no one cared about basketball, right? And here we're going, hey, let's do a podcast. And so to watch the evolution of that and how that's grown and how it's gotten developed and bigger, and got guys like Joe Rogan making $1 million and signing big deals with Spotify, so it's nice to see from that standpoint. Having this dialogue is just going back to my roots, man. Like, this is what it is. Because for me, podcast has always been about just connecting with people. Like, hey, what's up? Exactly. And you learn, you getting level of engagement high, and it's a great medium, man. I love it.
And you get to learn a lot about people that either you're watching on television or you read about or whatever it is. I've had a couple of actors on the show. Never, ever thought in my life I'd ever be talking to these people. You reach out, you get them on the show, and then you're like, hey, this is really cool. And then they actually stay in contact with you. So now I'm like kind of buddies with these guys, and it's really cool to have.
Nice.
Yep. It's a dope journey, and it's an open book, man. And you never know where that story, it's like one of those Read Your Own Adventures, which is probably one of every kid's favorite kind of books. Turn to page 3 if you want this, turn to page 7. And you don't know where the end is gonna be. You know what I mean? You remember those? Look at the smile. That's why I like it, man. And it's
absolutely. Listen, I used to read those when we used to do the MS readathons. My list would be full of those Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yeah, man.
Because that was like a different story, right? Each time.
I haven't met a kid alive that when you mention that to them, the eyes don't light up.
Oh, absolutely. Man. Are those books still around today or no?
Yeah.
Are they still? Yeah.
Everything is still around. It's like if you go to buy kids' games, I have a 9-year-old, you go to buy the games, it's still Monopoly, and still the games are still Battleship is still there. It's just you don't play those things anymore. You love, but they're still there. You watch the kids' shows on TV. Sesame Street evolved we talk about that today. Sesame Street has just kept evolving.
But I think the internet's killed that, right? I think having the internet has killed all that, because like when we were younger, we would see people outside at recess time or whatever it is, and they'd be sitting reading a book. And today, that doesn't happen.
No, they read books, but that's not your concept of reading the book. It's still a book because you're reading it on your phone. You're still reading the book.
Right.
If you're
Are they really though?
like a book club? Huh?
Are they
No, I'm
really
just saying
though?
in general, there's still percentage of people, right? Just because the paper's not in their hands.
Yeah,
People, the same percentage of people still read. It's like in hip hop. When I first went to New York way back to do music, I've been here my whole life. I thought, oh my God. Actually, forget about New York. When I first went on tour in the States, like, oh my God, to go to the US, my first tour in the States, it's going to be so many people because I'm in the States and there's 300 million people. And Canada only has 26 million. Let me tell you something, within a month, I knew everybody.
Yeah.
It's the same percentage of people doing it. We just think of it's in another place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the talent level, it's like in the NBA basketball. Let's get through. The talent level kind of levels out. It's weird. It's like the law of fishing. You know a law of fishing? You got fishing before? When you go fishing, like you can see a million fish, but you can only fish in that area for like 20 minutes.
Right.
And then you got to move to another spot. They won't bite after a while.
Right.
If you see them all, they're looking pretty. And you caught a lot of fish. But after that, it's like, nah, B.
Move it on. Keep it moving.
That's why they made them that mean net. They just dragged this straight.
Yep. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. It's a different era, different time, and kids read books. It's just different now, right? So I get you.
Yeah, my grandma, she does the same things I do. She just does it in another format. She draws like me, but she's just doing it on the iPad. But you're looking, she's just on the. But you from far, you looking at it. Oh, she's just on her phone, just doing the thing. When I actually go and look, and you spend the time and look, she was sketching on there for 2 hours.
That's right.
That's just, she's not sketching on paper. She's not wasting all this paper. We wasted so much paper, dude. I must buy all this paper all the floor. What? We think we are like, we advanced. It's funny, right? We just move on to things that we don't stay on. But one good thing about me, I don't know about you, I've always been around for some reason. And that's just how I look. I've always been around people under 10 my whole life, a lot of them. No matter what.
Yeah, they keep you young.
I am.
They keep you young.
Keeps me young. And I know what they're doing. I realize, and I see the similarity. Like, no, we're not that. You know what I mean? And then you see, like, what's the difference? So, a lot of people ain't around kids, man.
Yeah.
I hear you. They let you know, man. You think you're cool till you're around a 9-year-old. They'll let you know that. Then you start getting nervous. Am I cool? So what about you? How did you, end up in the chair that you're in right now, like in a synopsis, like for those who might not know, because a lot of people know, but they don't know your journey. Like, was it your parents that set you this way? What was the thing that sparked the spark for the Audman?
It's funny, like, I mean, it's I oftentimes say life is a collection of we are as a result of a collection of experiences that feed into who we are, what we become, certainly the things that we believe in, the things that we stand for. And I think the one thing for me was I was always open to trying stuff. I was always open to explore. I was always inquisitive. I just had a natural curiosity. But I also knew the things that I like doing, right? And I like just being around people. I like learning. I like developing. And I was always a basketball. Everyone liked it.
Who was there like a mentor to you? Who got you like with basketball? What was your time? I know also love for the game, but who was the one to really, that moment? Like, it's like me in music. I was doing anything. I was going around, went to CKLN, but there was a moment when I was like, okay, I'm beside Chuck D right now, and this is Flavor Flav, and I'm about to go on. And I knew, okay, Chris, not everybody gets a chance to do this, and you're very young. Okay, you have a chance to do this properly if you have discipline.
What you're talking about is kind of that eureka moment, that eye opening.
Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that moment.
And so for me, like I said, we did an NBA podcast back in 2007. We ran that for 5 years, me and my partner, and we started off just two guys talking hoops, and then all of a sudden we was like, hey, maybe we can get a basketball player on. And the very first player that we reached out to, and it came on our podcast, and we were like, in our minds, we're two nobodies from Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, let's do this thing. And we had John Starks from the New York Knicks.
Oh, wow.
And John Starks came on the show, and we were like pinching ourselves and kicking ourselves under the table, going, John Starks, man. And we just started reliving moments with him, and he was talking about the infamous headbutt he had on Reggie Miller in the playoffs, and he talked about his 1 for 17 performance against Houston in the finals, and we were living all of these moments. And I just remember walking away saying, "Are you kidding me? Like, how did we do this?
That just happened.
How did it happen?"
Tom, Director Austin, you have a story like that too, don't you? Reply to what was I remember? What was your spark, right? What was your spark? Huh?
To get into podcasting?
No, like your first moment. Like you have that guess, that moment.
Eye-opening.
Like, I'm doing this,
so
but then
well,
I remember you told me a story.
Yeah. So I mean, all of you guys, like I had all these music guys on as well, like Thrust, and this is how we met through the podcast. And then I started to reach out to some other guests, and I reached out to Ken Shamrock, who fought in the UFC and
That's
WWE.
right. Yeah,
And
this is why it's a tie.
they got back to me, and they were like, "Yeah, Ken's gonna come on the show," and I was like, "What?" Like I just thought like this is just like a reach, yeah. And he actually showed up, and we did the interview, and he was on the show, and I was like, wow. I was super nervous, and I don't get nervous doing interviews, but I was like, this is a Hall of Fame UFC guy. This is a Hall of Fame WWE guy. He's a big time star. So
well, the reason I said because you yourself. It's like Audman's story. That's why I'm tying it in. It's a tie.
Yeah.
Because you're a fan too. If you go to Tom's basement, it's the shrine of the UFC. So it's like you said with Audman, you said you're slapping your leg. I remember Tom telling me. I said, let Tom tell the story. But yeah, it's that moment. You have that. So you're doing your thing for the love, for the passion.
That's right.
And then you get that thing. It's like, whoa. And then you know what it is too? It's because it's the thing that makes it, I think, beautiful is that the guests themselves have a great time.
Oh my God.
Like when you can feel the energy when your guests, and after they're like, yo, thank you for that. I really enjoyed that conversation. And you're like,
Russ,
you're telling me?
I'm telling you that point that you made is huge, because what that also does, and Tom, it validates you. You're like, damn right I belong here. Absolutely, I can do this.
Yeah. And I had that happen last night. I had his name is James Lejeune, and he was actually on Men at Work on TBS, and he was in Good Girls on Netflix. And I had him on last night, and he, after the interview, he was like, that was a really like warm, like great interview. And I was like, that just made you feel so good.
Absolutely.
That you get to hear that.
It validates everything, because you got to remember, when you come into this initially, no matter how confident you are, you still are like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure. But you still take that chance anyways. So fast forward, I do this whole thing about being audacious, and it's about taking that chance and taking that leap and taking that risk, right? And so when you do that, you're like, okay, I belong. Absolutely. And then what then you want to do is you want to build on that success. You're like, okay, who's next out there I can get? Who's within my reach? Because now you're feeling on top of the world, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's what it was for me. I felt like, okay. And that kind of what started the journey. And I just kept looking for that next rung, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned something like that. I mean, this whole podcast thing opened up an interesting opportunity for me at work. And I work in the school system, and I'm now teaching a podcast class with another teacher to these students. So they're learning how to do the podcasting now, and they're going to be learning doing the editing and everything that goes on behind the scenes. Like nobody really knows, hey, these guys are going on and they're just talking. But when I get the audio portion of it, the video's up. I can chop the video down a little bit here and there. Sure. But when the audio comes, you want to make it sound crisp, clean. It's going to Apple. It's going to Spotify. It's going to, all these platforms.
The production, the production part.
And you want to, you want to teach this to kids for the future, and hopefully,
I love it.
One of them hangs on to it and goes on with it.
Well, you saved the kid. You probably saved the kid and probably gave the planet a gift too. At the same time, a lot of time, you know what I mean? They end up being one of those contributors to something that's big, and you always hear those stories later in those books, right?
Yeah.
About people like that. So it's interesting, man. I remember meeting so many people like that. I remember like at CKLN doing the show with X, and it's so funny, X and X. I was going from X to X, but a little X, little X came down, but it was real little X, like little X with the sketches, like 13-year-old man, and this little kid did this little thing drawing in the corner and trying to show people. What do you think of people not paying attention? Yeah, something. Oh, that's okay. And I remember I looked at this guy. I said, "Oh my God, man!" I said, "You are gone, man. But what do you got there, man?" You know what I mean? A fear force. And I look to Hype Williams, man, to Usher, man. Yeah, you know what I mean. And it's so funny. We still have that memory, right? It's amazing to still have that and that same friendship. From that, he goes to us. You always do that for me way back there. So, I just took the time to look though. Everyone would have seen it, but everyone is so busy because they didn't know your name there. You know what I mean?
That's it.
When you really looked at the paper, I remember. I'll never forget that, man. You know what I'm talking about because right?
That's right.
From the Saga side of town, the 905.
Yeah.
So what's it like working with the NBA? What's going on with the league? I don't want to jump over because we could go down so many avenues. I think we got to do a couple of interviews. We're gonna have to do a part one, couple of interviews.
There's a lot of things we could talk about. I'm gonna give it to you how to make sure your audience gets a good sense of what we go on. So, in 2011, the NBA was in a lockout year. That was the year the NBA was on lockout. Now, up until this time, I've been doing this basketball podcast focused on the NBA. We've been running for about 3 or 4 years at this point, and then all of a sudden, the NBA goes on a lockout. Now, the era, the time that we're in now is very different back then. If there was a lockout right now, there'd be no shortage of content if you had a basketball podcast because of social media. I can tell you what guys had for breakfast. Players are telling you what time they worked out. They can tell you what color shoes they're wearing, all that stuff.
Exactly.
10 years ago, if an NBA went on lockout, there's nowhere to get content. There's nowhere to get information. There was just nothing going on. And that's what we face. And we're like, damn, what do we do? Well, it just so happened that NBL Canada was starting its inaugural season. I knew someone that was involved with it. I said, hey, you know what? I've got all this experience because I built up this whole resume of John Stark like interviews that I had, right? So I said, I have all this experience. I tell you what, let me take what I've done over there and do it for you guys here. Well, because they were starting off brand new, they were like, great, we'll have you jump on board. And I did. And when I got there, I was like, wow, Canada's got its own professional basketball league. And we're not talking about rec league. We're not talking about, guys in the park on a Sunday afternoon. Like, these are D1 players, guys from the States. At that time, there weren't a ton of top Canadian players, but there were some. And we're like, okay, let's check this out. And that's what started my journey. And as time went on, each year, I became deeper and deeper involved with what went and how, and I learned the organization. I sat back.
Did they give you like a title? Because it sounds like you're probably wearing a lot of hats.
So at that time, I told them I was director of content management. That's what I call myself.
That's my first something like that.
I was like director of content. I felt good. Names, eh? And you know what?
Who are you, man?
So 2011, there was a lockout, and that's when I was able to switch basically what I was doing for my own podcast, NBL Canada. And the point I was going to make is, now I spend a lot of time. I talk to schools, I talk to students, and the thing that I emphasize is that I came to NBL Canada and got an opportunity because I essentially created it, and I created it when I came to them and said, "Here's what I can do for you. Here's my skill sets." And here's how I can make a difference for where you work and make things better for you. And it's important to know that because I get a lot of students who approach me now and go, I love basketball, I want to work here. And I'll go, okay, what do you want to do? Well, I'll do anything.
No, you got to give me.
Come. Let's think about that. So, and it was actually funny. A couple nights ago, a young man called me and he said, hey, I want to do stuff with NBL Canada. And it's very rare I don't take those calls. I almost always do. I've got a heart to generally want to help young people. I do. And so I took the call from the young man and I said, so what are you interested in? And what he didn't realize is in that moment, he was being interviewed. But he didn't know he's being interviewed, right? Because we didn't set it up and go, let's have an interview. So I said, so what do you want to do? I'll do anything. Okay, like what? Well, what do you have? And so I very intentionally told him the very same story I shared with you, how I got to NBL Canada, why I was able to make it work, what I did to make me successful. And I told him that story. And then I said, okay, so what about you? Have you thought about it? He goes, yeah, I don't know. You let me know. I said, okay, I'll get back to you. And that's where it ended, right? Because we have to be very clear and intentional about what we want. We can't expect people to spoon feed our success. We got to go after our own successes, right? And so I look at that sort of my journey with NBL Canada is kind of a test of that. I came in one day as a volunteer, not getting paid a cent, and now I'm managing the entire league 10 years later. I can't tell you that was my plan. That wasn't the path, things just happened the way it did, and I capitalized on it, and here we are today.
Well, that's the thing is when you set a defined goal, and I think if that's the most successful people, I think that's one thing that they do, but it's an attainable goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first trimmed down losing this weight, everything I had attainable goals. You know what I mean? And and the smartest thing I ever did is I never went on the scale.
Right.
I went on the scale every like 4 months. But I measured my waist and did all this other stuff. But I never played the scale game. So I never had that thing of going. So I never had a mental complex about it too.
Yeah.
And then when I did it 4 months, you see the change. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you just use it to stay on the path. And then you're setting this attainable. And then and I even my career, even everything, I have like 3-month goals, 6-month goals, yearly goals. I have a 2-year goal and I have a 5-year goal. Even right now, I can tell you right now.
And it's important.
You know what I mean? Ask Tom. Tom's in my music. My music for next year, it's been done for 2022.
Yeah.
Everything next year is already in the bag, man.
Nice.
It's in the bag. It's done. And most of it's been done like a couple months ago. I could tell you everything. I can't tell you the exact date it's dropped because that's like scheduling and what makes sense. But everything for next year is already done. We're working on 2023, man.
Yeah, you got a framework. But that's it. You have to have a
framework. But you don't have, but that's the thing. You said it, you said you got it. No, it's the G.I. Joe. The one thing at times, no one's half the bad. Everybody knows. Don't eat sugar, make you do that. Don't do this. But we still go and do these successes and all these things, right?
Yes.
And my ex-wife, she said this to me, I'll never forget it. And I used to put on my wall, and it helped so much because you can't do ordinary things and expect extraordinary results. And people want to do ordinary, and you want this huge, big result, man. Anyone to look good, trim, fit, they all got to go pay the sweat or eat it. Anyone wants to do music.
You got to put the work in. You got to put it in.
You got to rehearse,
the thing is people don't see what happens behind the scenes. What they see is they see the end result. And they got no idea the sleepless nights, the sweat poured in.
I'm not buying that no more.
Setbacks.
I believe you. I don't believe them because they do know. It's like the one smart thing I said, and Trump probably didn't say it. I heard him say it was, they know, man. Once you're over 20, you know what you do, dude. And you know what you're supposed to do. It's easy to make excuses and push it off other people. But the thing about us as human beings, and once you realize this as a human being, you can fight this. Human beings are inherently lazy.
Mm-hmm.
The lazy gene is stronger than the active gene in the human being, man. Mm-hmm. The gene that wants to tell you to sit down and not, even as much as this podcast, as much as I know you call me a Selvin, I love you. Tom said this when I came in, the voice, yo, Chris, nah, Selvin, you don't have to do it. You know what I mean? But I just know to throw that voice away. Selvin,
that's right.
Selvin, go up to the room. That's what people who get through. They just throw that loud voice. It's a louder voice.
Yes.
That louder voice is the clutter voice. You throw it away, you go to the quieter one, which is the one that show you the real path. You know what that is, but sometimes it's like the excuse, like little kids will show you, they just take, whatever. No, man. No. You 25 years old, you 28, you 30. If you 18 and under, I can understand. If you 10 under, I totally get it.
Of course.
Once you over that,
that's right.
You see your friends I was like that before. My girls used to go to the gym all the time to watch it. Chris, why don't you go? Mansa, Mansa, big up Mansa. I love Mansa. We still friends to this day, right? Yeah. And I used to watch it. I was just lazy. The old thrust. Remember 2 seasons? Whatever. Come on. It's better for you. She's trying to help me better. No, it took me on my own later to find somebody. And then I remember that more. That's what she was trying to do for me, man. Mm. But I was too lazy. The old lazy me with the fog in my head, making a million excuses. Why she got to go every day? Yeah, you know what I mean? And I remember I was dating a girl. The girl turned to me at one point. She go, "Why you got to go to the gym every day?" You know what I mean? It was like, "Oh my gosh, you went in the time machine." So, no, we grown.
Yeah,
let's get up and admit it's okay not to go do it.
Yep.
It's okay not to not do it that day too. That's something you have to learn too. It's okay because every day 100% is going to be different. Which is that thing. Like your level of energy is different, and we only have so much to give to our family. Our spirit, ourselves, our job, all the commitment. So, but that's it. But some people just get too programmed to putting it in these other areas so dedicated.
Yeah.
And then they have none for themselves in the other stuff, the other areas. And that's the problem.
That's right. That's right. No, you're
So,
right.
but you talk to a lot of kids, a lot of youth, which I assume you do go to schools and do speeches and motivational
Sure.
stuff. What do you find with the kids when you're talking to them? Are they looking for that instant gratification, or are they looking for, some kind of direction on where they want to go?
It's interesting. I think there's a wide cross section. Kids these days are a lot smarter than we were, and they see and understand a lot more. And so, when we were growing up, we all pretty much thought the same way, and we sort of acted the same way and did kind of the same things. Well, in this current climate, you've got a wide cross section. They're all, they're independent thinkers. They want, in fact, some try intentionally to be different than everyone else, as much as possible. So, I found that, look, I've gone to schools and sat down with, groups and talk, and you've got a couple kids that are just like sponges and just trying to take everything in, and others are just not interested. So, I think it's a testament to young people today, and they're just because they're so smart. I just got so much respect for how smart they are, and just how much they know, and how much more resilient they needed to be than we were, right? Kids today need to be extremely resilient because there's so much more coming at them. When we were kids, it wasn't, you had a few things, but nothing to what they're deal with today. And so it's, to answer the question, there's a whole bunch different, the wide cross section for sure.
Yeah, but I think that the information going to them, it's just more readily available, right? We didn't have the internet growing up. We had the newspaper. You wanted to see a movie, you had to go check the newspaper out. Now it's just at the tip of their finger, so they know everything that's coming at them. It's on the news, it's on their phone, like right at the tip of their finger. So they have a lot of information to process, right?
Yeah.
Totally. You know what you don't even want to know. That's the problem. It just like goes off of the algorithms. So that's what it is. I find, my daughter's 9, so been with her the last couple of years, especially the first 3 years. I was pretty much home just with her.
Sure.
Seeing her with the iPad generation, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you see it, and it's just so much being thrown. And if you're not there, how do they deal with it, interpret it? And if you're interpreting that wrong, and then you're a 14-year-old kid interpreting all this stuff, that's what you're saying. How are you going to have this focus and direction?
It's true.
Well, we had stuff coming at us, seeing it, and this and that, but it was filtered.
Yeah,
we had more not all of us though.
No,
almost that crazy, but there was still more filtered because it wasn't. And it's images.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. We hear it, you see.
Stay with you.
Oh, your images are strong, dude. Even if I paid the images, it's boom, man. And that's the thing that's really powerful.
And what happens too for us, it was coming at a slower pace, right? Now everything's rapid fire. Just constantly bombarded. And that's why, there's so many trends that come and go so quickly, because there's always just, the new challenge or the new trend or the new whatever. Like, we probably, we had like 2 or 3 trends. That was it.
Did you do the milk crate, man?
I'm getting up there.
Oh, they had a really bad challenge going on there on TikTok where it was like slap a teacher in the face or something like that. And I was like, I hope nobody does that to me, because there's going to be a lot of trouble here, right?
But a lot of trouble, a lot of stuff slapping going on. So shadow boxing? No, I don't think so. Oh my God, man! But that's what it is, man. Everybody want to be a star till they're a star. Till they're a star.
That's right. This is true. But
it's true. It is true.
No. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Right?
They don't know what a star is, man. They don't even have time to check out. I tell people that's why you do all that. I said, dude, I don't want to be that, man. What do you mean? I mean, you know, one of my friends I see go through that, man. I was lucky, man. I seen everybody. I said, no, man. I know what I want to be. I don't want to be that. You think you want to be that.
It's true.
Y'all complain and living terrible lives, man.
It's true.
And money can't change how you feel like that, man.
No, not at all.
My brother. No, my brother.
It's true.
I don't want no mirrors. That's all this. No mirrors is my roof. You were laughing, eh? See, we can laugh at it. You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. It's not nice when you don't like yourself, man. No, you don't know who yourself is, man. It's
and that's what it is.
Horrible feeling,
it's a terrible existence. Because we live with ourselves, we're with ourselves more than anyone else, right?
But that's you in your own head.
It's a terrible existence, man, when you're not happy with who you are. 100%.
And then you're doing it every day, this fake version. I watch people do it on tour, man. Fake versions of themselves every day, Tom, every day. They got to put on the jacket, put on the thing. Just go. It's like roll on out. What was that movie Denzel Washington had remade? It was dope. Manchurian Candidate. I'll tell people to watch that movie.
Yes,
that movie was amazing, man.
Yeah.
People don't understand it, but that was deep, man. The originals, it was so good. I watched the original. You seen the original?
Mm-hmm.
The original black and white, like the 70s, whatever.
Yeah.
That was good too, man.
It was a good one. It was a good one.
Man. So you see,
very deep.
Yeah,
very deep. But yeah,
you went out some of those movies get made. How do you get to make that movie, man? They pushed the guy up top. You watched it? You see it?
The new one. I haven't seen the first one.
Yeah.
No? Oh, you should watch the first one. The first one's good. It's good, man. It's like Westworld. If you watch Westworld, you got to watch.
Oh yeah.
You watch? Did you see the original Westworld one? You see the original?
The original Westworld. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yo, kind of by fluke, man. One Saturday I was home after a while, and I see the guy going crazy. The old black and white.
But it was the original was actually a movie, right? It wasn't a television series. It was a movie.
But how they took the concept from that and they made that's so cool, man. And the original and then to have that vision back then when that stuff was like, wow, you guys are really thinking out of the box. People must have thought they're crazy too. You crazy? What kind of thing is this?
But it's just a future that's gonna happen, right? Hopefully we don't see it. Hopefully we
around the corner.
Yeah, but
that's crazy, dude, man. I was like, I was like, yo, man, that's my boy too. He's like, look at his arm. I'm like, enjoy.
Oh, it's coming though. It's coming.
I was gonna be the brother, man. Sorry if you watch Westworld. Now we just gave it up. By now you should know. Westworld's a long time.
Yeah.
I need season 3 though.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the Toronto Raptors and what you think's going on with them this season.
I mean, look, the Raptors are in transition. I mean, we're an organization. So it's funny is there are young people today that only know the Toronto Raptors as being a playoff championship team, right?
Lucky them.
Absolutely. Like we're talking.
That's great, though.
We don't know the Alvin Robinson days and Damon Stoudemire. They don't know those days.
They have no idea they
Popeye Jones, buddy. I say,
they're just old stories to them, right? There are, my son's 15 years old. And when I tell him, he's like, what are you talking about, man? Raptors are a top team in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, it wasn't always that way, right?
Yeah.
So when you've been around the organization, if you watch a team long enough, you've kind of seen the cycles, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you're not necessarily feeling down. You're like, okay, well, we were down, we got up. We're down a little bit. We'll come back up again. Like, you know what I mean? Like you gain a better perspective. But what I think is really interesting about them, although this is during one of the transition periods, they still are a very good team.
Yeah, they are.
They're a very good team. They don't have a superstar. They're tough as nails defensively, and they've got a lot of young vets. The OGs of the world. He's a young vet who, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, will be a most improved player.
And unfortunately, he's injured right now. He's got a hip pointer, so he's out for a while.
Mm-hmm. But the way he's been playing up until that point, you'd be like, he looks like an all-star.
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet, again, one of these young vets, and he's like, he's the guy, right? Pascal, to a lesser degree, because Pascal's game is always up and down. But then you have those key pieces. The Scotty Barnes, everyone loves him, and you know what? He looks good for a young rookie. People are already giving him Rookie of the Year because he's that good. And then just all the other little pieces that they have, and so it's still an entertaining club to watch. I don't think people are going to be like, man, they didn't make it to the finals. No one's expecting them to get to the finals.
No, I don't expect that.
Right?
Exactly.
But what you are seeing, and I think it's sort of raising your expectations when they lock teams down defensively. Yeah. Because, when they lock teams down defensively, guys like Gary Trent Jr. out on the perimeter causing havoc, you're like, okay, you feel there's some promise. And I guess what I don't want people to do is raise their expectations too high.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're still in a period of transition. We just got a lot of really, really good pieces.
And do you think they're a playoff team this year?
I think the East is open. I think the East is open for them. And their ability to make the playoffs will be largely hinged on what they continue to do to teams defensively, right? They can run with. So here's the interesting thing. their road record is better than their home record right now.
Yeah, that's weird this year, right? Yeah.
Like,
But
I'm going to say that again. Their road record is better than their home record. First of all, that's unheard of in the history of this organization, one. And two, young players typically play better at home than they do on the road. And these guys are flipping it on its head. So there's a lot of really intriguing things about
this. You think last year, though,
What's
strength of them not being at home last year? Like, they weren't home.
They're all, that's a great point.
I've heard that everybody say on the radio last time I watched. I love, talk radio, and that's what I saw. But yeah, I'm not surprised with that because they didn't have.
They've always been on the road. They've been on the road for 2 years.
But the thing was in our heads because we're not counting COVID, and before then the home was the big advantage. But last year they didn't have, so they just got more comfortable.
That's right.
Just floating around.
Great point.
And then they're coming home now. Oh my gosh, these guys want us to pay. They're thinking about it now.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So, but here's what could be ill if they could do this. If they could get the buzz of playing at home and us being that fit at home and then just come to the road. I'm on the fence with the team. I'm still watching. After my friends, I'm kind of like they're at this very interesting point, man. If you, like you said, the trends of sports, cycles of sports, and it's kind of like in between, like Masai not being locked down. To me, Masai is the key to everything.
Sure.
And him not being locked down or fully locked down for a long time. That's going to determine where we're going.
Well, so
to me, in my humble opinion, because there's this year, there's that, there's the previous thing, but where he goes is where we go.
So here's what I find really interesting. So after you won the championship, right? Kawhi leaves. The team starts to, then you see Lowry leave. Okay. So in your minds, I think in all of our minds, we're like, okay, we need to start from scratch. But when you see how talented they are at this level, you're like, oh, wait a second. This isn't as low as we were supposed to go, right? Because normally you have a championship squad, you lose key pieces, you're in rebuild mode. Sometimes you're in rebuild mode for years, right? But that's not what we've experienced. And I think the big part about that is because of those young pieces that we have. And like I said, I'm so impressed with OG. I love Fred VanVleet. I think Pascal in the right frame of mind can be really, really good. And everything else. And then you got all these Canadians, right? You're adding the Kem Birches and the Chris Boucher, the Delano Banton, Kipling 45 bus number on his jersey. I mean, you get all these guys that are contributing. Malachi Flynn isn't getting a lot of minutes off the bench, but when he comes in, they're impactful minutes, right? And so what we're seeing from this team is that there's a lot of promise. And what this does, it gives you a couple options. You can ride this out and continue to develop your own guys and see where you go. Or you can bring them to a point where these young guys are valuable and they're trade assets. You bring in veteran players, right? You've got a few different ways you can go.
Yeah, they got. As I said,
there's lots of promise. Lots of promise.
It's not a negative thing. It's a state of positive, but it's an interesting time because you could do something great. Like this is going to set us up for the next 5 to 6 years.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm
for the better.
I'm excited about it.
For better or worse. You know what I mean?
Yep. I'm excited about the potential of this team and where it can go. Yeah. I'm not looking for a championship this year. I'm not looking for a conference finals. If we get in the playoffs, man, I'm like, wow, that'd be big. Wow. Right?
Yeah. But even if they don't get in the play, that's people like, oh no. It's about seeing what we have, what could fit and where we could take it. Because we have to add on to this. Like we're not gonna be able to compete with the big boys with this.
I'm calling playoffs. I'm saying that right now. I'm saying playoffs.
I think they'll get in the 7th, 8th spot. They'll be one of the playoff, like when they go into the playoff round, just to get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be one of those teams that has to go play in, and then they'll play into it.
And what they're going to end up being, they'll be one of those lower seeds that you don't really want to have to play.
Yeah.
Right? Because of what they do to you defensively. And they get up in your face and they get in your passing lanes and they contest shots and they make it hard for you to offensive rebound.
And they just don't quit. They're tenacious. So
Yeah.
And if their night is on, those guys can shoot the lights out, right? I mean, it's not like they're bad players. It's just they have off nights. And I mean, that goes for any
they're
sport.
the team nobody wants to play because you're going to have to work.
That's right. That's right. In the playoffs, you're not going to be happy about them drawing them in your first round because you think historically it's like, well, when you're top seed, you have an easy first round, right? Or in theory, you should, but I don't think anyone gets a Raptors first round. They're going, "Oh, this will be a walk in the park."
No,
and then you got to come to Toronto. No one wants to come to Toronto.
Yeah.
The originators. The originators.
Like, hey, you know what? Like the Toronto sports scene is hopping. I mean, you got the Raptors, you got the Jays who did really well, just missed the playoffs. So you got the Leafs who are playing really well. You know, you've got Team Canada, who's number one in CONCACAF qualifying for the World Cup right now. So sports across Canada right now is fantastic. It's blown up a lot.
It's great to see. It's great to see. And Toronto is just a great sports town in general, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Matter as long as you repping that T dot O dot, and I can say that because we're old school, right? They don't say T dot no more, do they? Right? They drop it.
T dot's still around. T dot's still.
They still say it. I don't hear it too much. That's why I said that. I say it, but
it's a generational thing. But you still see a lot of T dot.
But they dropped the O dot.
A lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't like the 6. It could have resonated with the 6, so they just kept the dot too.
I never got on the 6.
Because it just a lot of people that resonated with it. And that's it. I mean, a lot of people just stuck with it. But hey, to each their own, and you can always flip it, right? It's NY, NYC, New York City. It's just different days for a spot, right?
That's it.
But as long as you know what the spot is when you're saying it. Right? So.
That's true.
And we had TO. You know where that came from? That's K Force, right? K Force came up with T.Dot, yeah. Mm-hmm. I was there when he came out the session with tape. It was a demo tape. And we were in the office and he goes, yes, coming straight out the T.O.O. And we're like, oh my God, T.O. Force did it again. Bam. So all the sunshine people, you know what I'm talking about when I say K Force.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
man.
I think, you know what, we can wrap up this part of as part 1. We absolutely want to have you on for part 2. Sure. Probably do a recording next week to do part 2 with this, but this was an awesome interview. We did have some audio video troubles. Doesn't matter. When people hear it, they're not going to even know, so it doesn't even really matter. So doing a part 2 would be awesome. You were an awesome guest to have on the show.
Oh man, listen, this is a lot of fun because we're just chopping it up, right? Like I mean, and we talk about what podcasts are, and that's what they really are, is just people having dialogues and conversations.
Exactly.
And so when first of all, I mean, I appreciate you guys having me on here for part 1, and I absolutely can't wait to do part 2 because it's just gonna be the same what this is. We're just chopping it up, right? And you know, I represent a basketball league and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's more than just basketball for me. And you know, I can get into all that stuff and the motivational stuff that I work and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, man, this is good, man. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
It's funny you said that. People forget because that's what I felt like with this. This is really what it's about. This is like it's more about the conversation. Yeah, I know you do this and this, but yo, it's supposed to be just about conversation and going off on those tangents. The tangents is what makes a dope part. Then you come back and go, oh yeah, we do this. But because within those tangents, that's what all the cool stuff is.
Absolutely.
Because you know what, you can research anything you want on the internet. I can find out all this information about you, what your job is, what you do for your job, all this stuff. But you get to know the person behind that job, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why the podcasts are cool, where you get to kind of just shoot the breeze with a guest and find everything about, you know, their background, their likes, their dislikes, whatever it is, right?
Yep. It's funny. So whenever I get a guest on my podcast, I actually don't even like read an introduction or anything. I'll just say, hey, let's just start getting talk. Let's just talk. And I said, if you want, I can go and read all about you and read out and tell you about yourself. And they're like, no. Let's just talk. Right? That's what you try to do. So have conversations.
Just the arm comes off. I was like, okay.
That's it.
You see the kicker, man. Yeah.
So is there anything
people being so robotic? It's nice to have somebody just, you know what I mean? That's a day of
freestyle. Well, life is life. Like I always say, life is one big improv, right? Like, you know, and that's what it like. You can. So going back to your point, Tom, you know, you could come out and say, I've got these questions. I'm going to ask you this, but I can give you an answer that takes us somewhere else that you didn't have listed on your list of questions.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but you have to be able to go with the flow with that. You know, I might have some notes written down on the side, like if I have an actor on or something that I want to touch base on, but I don't write out a script where I'm going to be saying, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Because you know that conversation is going to go in a different direction already.
absolutely,
So,
as it should.
Yeah.
I mean, the real, organic, authentic, that's
normal
how
human connection. That's
absolutely.
That's yeah.
I had no idea that I would tell the story about how I started in NBL Canada when I came on. I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah.
But the conversation went that way, and that's how it should.
I didn't know I was going to ask it either. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It's just like when I saw you, it was like, hey,
it's true.
Like you just saying, I go, how many people? Because more people know that. How many people do? It's amazing people know somebody you don't really know how. But what really got you? I didn't know. Now I know. Oh, when you did this. That's
because people think you just arrive. You don't just arrive.
Like Tom said, you arrive at the finish line. You know, with Bolt with the freaking gold. Meanwhile, I like that thing with Bolt. You see, he lost the summer before, man. He came like a fifth.
That's right. Exactly.
Right.
But people
forget
forget that.
I threw my page. It was from you, I think. I think you or someone else like you. I threw it up. I think it was your page. I was still put my gram. I knew the story, but it's like when you see it in the edit,
you forget it.
People to see. You see, what? Then you just always see it to finish when you win it, dude. You had to have a loss to win, man. You have to know how to lose. You have to know how to lose gracefully, man, to win.
I love that.
You understand? You have to learn how to lose gracefully, though. A lot of people lose, they're just mad they lost, man.
That's right. So true.
Yeah.
Mad you lost. You were in the number one, you're in the race that nobody was in. He was still in a race with the top 10 people in the world. He's still top 10 in the world. You just didn't get to number one that one race.
That's right.
You see, and that's when he went back. Okay, look, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still in this heat with these. Okay. Wow, Boltman guy.
That's right.
There you go, guys.
That's right.
Man, we're definitely going to do a part two, and when we do part two, we're going to get into a little bit of the motivational stuff that you talk about with a lot of people. I think that'll be a lot of fun to do. Is there anything that you want to give out, socials, anything that anybody can find you, any information that you want to share with anybody?
Look, I'm easy to find. Audley Stephenson, aka the Audman. That's AUD, not ODD. People get that twisted sometimes. I'm engageable, if that's a word. If it's not, I just made it up. And reach out to me. NBL Canada, it's a league that I represent, that I proudly represent for the last 10 years. So nblcanada.ca is the website, or hit me up directly, or wait till we do the part two of this interview. I mean, we got options. What I'm saying, we got options.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep it popping.
Yeah, and of course, you can always find the Northern Touch Show on Instagram at the Northern Touch Show, and on Twitter you can find us at Northern Touch 6. Also find all of our links on Linktree. That's linktr.ee / the Northern Touch Show.
Nice.
And all that good stuff. I don't know how you remember that every time. Tom's awesome.
hey. You know, it was funny. Our last interview that we did.
If you go back and watch, every time he does that, watch, I'm having the same look in my face. Like,
yeah. Well, the last interview that we did, I forgot about it, right? And I was like, hey, man, I don't even remember what our links are right now, right?
That's awesome.
I have to remember it from 2 different shows, and I always get them mixed up sometimes. So I was like, you know what? I got to make sure I nail it this time, which I did. So everybody that's listening, hey, I got it right this time.
You delivered it nicely.
We're being transparent, man. I could have just let it slide, but
nice.
Nice. Okay, guys.
Oh, good. So
awesome, man. Thanks for staying up, man.
Appreciate you guys, man.
All right.
Stay blessed. Bless your family. Thanks for giving that. Tell them thank you for letting us have you for this bit of time. I know what time this is.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Stay healthy. Stay beautiful, man. We're here if you need anything. We'll talk soon.
We'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Cool.
Peace.